Will you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gonna get a roll call?
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. D'Andriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Ms. Smith? Here. Mr. Williams?
Here. We have no, actually, we got to start off with order of the bills.
Oh, really? Number one. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 7 dated April 14th, 2023 in the amount of $901,305.55. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have no budget transfers, so Councilman D'Andriano, you are up at bat.
Okay, first I have EMS requests. So the first one is a letter from our EMS administrator, Bobby Kearns, requesting Miss Jennifer Hunt's employment status change from temporary to permanent as the assistant administrator with the town of Patterson EMS. This change is due to the fact that she has met civil service requirements and is on the current civil service list. Ms. Hunt is currently working as the assistant administrator. We also have a resolution here to change her status to permanent. I just want to just add real quick, just to mention that I think most of us did receive an email from one of our EMS members that had taken the test, and he's not saying that she's not eligible, but he did have some good points maybe going forward when we make appointments like this to follow some of the things he just suggested. So I just wanted to mention that for his benefit.
All right, I do have a response. I was going to talk about it in executive session. Still would like to talk about it in executive session. But essentially, we followed all the
Yeah.
civil service requirements. This is not a promotional exam as he's maintaining. So we'll talk about it a little bit further later.
And I don't think he, reading it a couple of times, I don't think he mentions that she's not eligible. So we did deem she's eligible. So I'd like to enter this, approve this resolution and enter to the record as read. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I have another request from our EMS administrator, Jason Wheelock, status change from the assistant administrator as a resignation as of April 30th to volunteer as an EMT with the town of Patterson EMS. Jason would like to remain part of the town of Patterson EMS organization as a volunteer. He will ride and assist as needed. All his background checks, he's been with us for, I believe, well over a year or so as assistant administrator. So I'd like to make a motion to change his status. I think he had already resigned, though. I think we took his resignation a while back, but I'd like to make a motion to change his status to volunteer EMT. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We have another request from our EMS administrator. This is for Cody Hickok, who is one of the EMTs. He's asking for a leave of absence due to another job and training obligations for that new job, but he'd like to take a leave of absence starting Monday 5/1 to July 1st. Make a motion to accept his leave of absence as stated. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next I have a request for the Bridle Ridge Road, Bridle Ridge Streetlight. Request from Dennis Mays for Healy Electric. He has three prices here to repair the light. I'd like to make a motion to approve Healy Electric for not to exceed $2,275. So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I have a request here for electrical work, a new floodlight on the pole of the boathouse. It's changing it to an LED light. So again, we have three prices here. The lowest price came back from Healy Electric. So I'd like to make a motion to approve Healy Electric to do the work for $2,160. So
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
that is all I have.
Charles.
Okay. Next, we have a letter of resignation from Mr. David Harvey, who is a member of the Putnam Lake Advisory Council Board. He's taken a new position with a company that requires more of his time each week. We appreciate all that Mr. Harvey has done, and I'll make a motion that the town board accept the resignation of Mr. Harvey to the Putnam Lake Advisory Council. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I must say, I'm disappointed because when we interviewed David Harvey, I thought he had a lot of potential for growth with this town and being involved in government, so.
Well,
but
maybe when
wish
things,
him well.
maybe when things change in his work schedule, he'll be back. You know?
Okay. Next, we have electrical repairs for Town Hall, and there needed to be some work done ASAP, as there were a dozen lights or so. The ballasts and lights had to be replaced, so Healy Electric was called in to do the work, and the total cost for this work was $2,684. So I'll make a motion that the town board approve awarding Healy Electric $2,684 for the work at Town Hall. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have a senior trip request for the Putnam Lake seniors, and this is for June 8th, 2023, and this is to go on the Hudson River Cruise from Newburgh, New York, with lunch at the River Club. And the net cost to the budget will be $900. So I will make a motion that the town board approve this trip request for the Hudson River Cruise, including lunch, in the amount of $900. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Are you calling?
Yeah.
You seem excited.
Yeah, you seem very excited.
I'm good.
Shop?
Okay, next item we have relates to the Ice Pond Estates subdivision, which was approved back in 2014. One of the items to effectuate all the final approvals here, and as required by the subdivision approval, was the creation of a drainage district. So we have documents that speak to this. Essentially, we are approving the creation of the district. Rich, is there I thought I saw somewhere a public hearing associated with this?
Yes, there has to be a
Was it
public.
May, I think it was stated as May 24th, maybe I have it here. I'm
Right here,
sorry.
May 24th.
Yeah, May 24th. Okay, so I will make a motion that the town board approves the creation of a drainage district for the 25 lots. Or not, we're actually just setting the public hearing.
We're accepting the map plan and report, the petition, and setting the public hearing.
And setting the public hearing for May 24th, so we can hear any comments related to that. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That goes back, Charlie, 2014.
No, I wasn't.
I was just coming off the board when I think the meeting that they approved the subdivision was the first.
I remember us doing field trips out there.
Yeah.
Site visits out there, a couple of
Yeah.
years before that.
Yeah. Wow.
Not quite the cruise.
Not the
quite
cruise.
senior
No.
Not the river cruise, no.
Did you guys ride on horseback to get to these?
No, but it was up there. It was a long ways up on that ridge. Yeah, horse and buggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next item is the annual MS4 report for the town. This is filed with the DEC and required to be done so to account for all the activities that the town undertakes for its stormwater practices. So I'll make a motion that we approve and file this
Well-
report.
We need to put it up on the website for 2 weeks, which is what we do every year.
Okay, apologize. So, all right, make a motion, we put it up on the website so we can get any, this is riveting reading, by the way. Oh,
You
yeah.
like it?
This is
Oh,
cleaning out storm drains and.
It's almost as much fun writing it.
Yeah, I know, I'm working on
Sean,
one for the
tell
county.
James Patterson, watch out.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So just a point on that, I mean, we have to do this every year, but we have to have several spreadsheets that we track everything we're doing throughout the year. So that if we have this, all the inspections of construction sites, catch basins, stormwater ponds, what education we're doing. and
Septic
it's-
maintenance.
Yeah, it's septic maintenance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keeping our new town planner busy, huh?
Well, this is my last one. It's hers now.
Yeah. And last, we have a packet from Inspections on Time. They are asking to be considered for approval as a third-party electrical inspection agency for the town. The board will recall that we took on some of this oversight a couple of months back. They list all the credentials of the staff that would be working. So, Rich, procedurally on this, do you want, is it, I mean, it's not a resolution per se, it's not a contract with a fee schedule, it's just that they have the expertise to be able to provide the work as needed, correct?
Correct. Jamie and I did have a brief back and forth on this, and absent any RFP or guidance to the contrary, it's kind of hard to say, you know, if somebody wants to do inspections in our town, we're not gonna accept you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
So it's
we're
more
just
an
gonna add
acknowledgement.
them to our list and approve adding them to our list of eligible inspectors for electrical inspections.
Okay. So, we need that in the form of a motion. Doesn't hurt or not.
Yes, we do.
All right,
So
so,
could I just ask a question?
sure, of course.
Is there, and this might sound like a stupid question, but is there any issue with them being licensed in Rockland County as opposed to Putnam County? No?
No.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay, I'll move that we approve adding Inspections on Time to our list of potential electrical inspectors for Town of Patterson. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so first on my agenda is a resolution for an audit of the New York State 2022 general election. As, we've gone back and forth on this a couple of meetings. I did make a few additional tweaks, and then Councilman Cook came in and asked the last paragraph to be rewritten somewhat. And everybody taking a look at this?
So my question is, what we rewrote or wrote is different than what they presented us?
Yes.
That we wanted?
Yes.
So my question would be, so we're, they come to us and say, would you support this? And they present that.
Right.
And we take it and say, well, we need to tweak this, tweak that, and we're presenting something that we feel is what should be presented or what should be passed. It's not what they came to us with.
That is true. We've had that conversation with them, yes.
So I wouldn't be in favor of passing something that's not, it's just like saying, well, we agree with some of the things you say, but, we had to change this because we don't agree with the way that's written. So we are supporting some of it, but not all of it in the way we want it to be. So I think that's it's not really in line with what they want. Or we're not supporting exactly what they want, so how can we?
I get what you're saying. Just to be clear though, so would you be in favor of supporting what they presented as they presented it?
No, so that's another thing, is a couple issues. So first of all, I love what they're doing. I agree. I think, nationwide and even around the state in some areas, I believe there is issues going on with our election process, But as we've talked, and I apologize for missing the last meeting. I was sick, but I did log on and watched, and I agreed everything with the supervisor said with a lot of the stuff. Because I also talked to the Board of Elections commissioners as well. Had some lengthy conversations with, especially the Republican chair, and a lot of things that they proposed or that they that they have in their statements and stuff. There's some things that I don't think pertain for Putnam County. Stuff like, I'm sure there's probably places around the state that dead people vote, or a dead person has cast a ballot. I don't know, but that doesn't happen. I don't believe it happens in Putnam County. they actually, I've had conversations with Board of Elections Putnam, they look at obituaries, they go to funeral homes, they take names and they put it against their voter lists and cross people off. As a committee member, in full disclosure, I'm the chairman of the Patterson Republican Committee, as well as being on the Putnam County Executive Committee. Getting signatures, I know when you knock on a door, and it's kind of embarrassing sometimes when the wife says, "Oh, is Joe home? Can you sign my petition?" And she tells me, "Oh, well, Joe passed away 2 years ago." But I take that and I report it to the Board of Elections, and they take that name off the rolls. So I do agree with a lot of the things, but a lot of the things, talking to the Board of Elections, like it is possible to be registered on January 1st, or on a weekend if you register to vote through the DMV. That can happen, and a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go through everything, but I don't feel as a town board, as the Patterson Town Board, that we should be passing a resolution to be involved with this. I don't think it pertains to us on a town level, so I wouldn't be in favor of either resolutions.
So there's nothing we can adjust here that would make it better so that you could support?
No, because then again, I think if we're adjusting it, we're not taking what their statement is and what their full cause is. We're just picking things that we agree with and maybe changing things that we think it should be, and we're not approving their resolution what they want. I don't think that's right.
Okay, I thought if we did something in support, that would be, a better statement than doing nothing, because I agree with you that while I think we do a fairly good job in Putnam County, and I said the two commissioners over at the Board of Elections, I think they're phenomenal women that, do an outstanding job with running a very difficult process in Putnam County. But in other areas, clearly, there are problems. And I highlighted some of them last time, where they had the commissioner up in Albany who was, not behaving himself properly. And again, I'm concerned about the resolution that New York Audit is proposing and some of the facts in it, because maybe they're correct and maybe they're not. We've got some conflicting information. That being said, I didn't have a problem with, at least supporting the concept of, asking the state legislature and the state Board of Elections to do a statewide audit to see how different counties are doing, and, to see if there were areas that improvements could be made, so that we have a fair and honest election process. So, and that's where we are with this right now. It doesn't support everything New York Audit has said is factual, but it supports the underlying concept of the fact that there are concerns about our election process statewide that we should at least be taking a look at. So,
I agree with that. I agree that it's the concept that's in here. I think what was taken out was some of those things, if you want to call it, beyond our scope, and some of the wording in asking for some action by levels of government above us was more direct than it had to be, instead of, some of the words. And I think that got modified, like, instead of saying X, we said consider, so we're not going to another level and saying, this is what you should do. The concept is here to say, look, there are concerns, and, we support, strengthening the process. That's it. That's my take. So, thought I'll just go again, and nothing against the audit group or anything like that. They did a lot of work, all that kind of stuff. But I think that we have to be careful in how we are addressing it with these other levels of government. Just like, you know, we wouldn't want somebody coming in here and, for the lack of a better word, telling us our job. It was like, wait a minute, you know? So I wouldn't want that kind of reaction at another level to say, you know, what are you guys doing? Yeah, so I think the concept covers it.
Well, I'm going to say that I personally feel as though an audit of everything is a wonderful thing because it validates the integrity of the process of whatever we are auditing. So I'm in favor of an audit in any way, shape, or form in any entity. I think that I don't feel as though that there's any finger pointing. I think that when the issue is raised to us and we talk about, oh, well, we know that in Putnam County or in Patterson, when we're going there, we're asked for the signatures are checked, and, you know, that's great, because then if we were audited, we would get through the audit with flying colors. I think that this is just auditing the process to make sure that everyone is doing, you know, and as Pete, you mentioned when you go out for signatures, yes, I too have had that experience to say, well, yeah, why don't we know that, you know, Joe Smith passed away, why do I have him here? Not only are you embarrassed about asking for the person, why don't you know that this is your town, but does Joe Smith have a vote? Because he's on this list as a voter, as an active voter for, you know, so is someone making, because if I don't know, then the person who's handing the ballot to Joe Smith doesn't know. So there's always going to be a reason or some type of suspect that something like this could be happening. I don't feel that an audit is a terrible thing, and I support auditing any process in any public entity.
Yep.
And for the record, I'm not against the audit. I'm not against an audit. I just, my reasons for us as a town board not to go forward with both the resolutions. The first resolution, I think we're all in agreement that we don't agree with it 100% if it was tweaked. And then again, we're tweaking what they wanted us to approve. So we're kind of saying, you know, we're not approving their whole cause. It's like what we're taking out stuff we don't agree with their cause, or we want it worded differently. I just don't think that's right as well. And I don't think as a town board, the Patterson Town Board, I agree with an audit. I'm not against an audit at all. But I'm looking at it as a town board.
If you read the resolution, the only thing that we're asking to, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you did, you know, make the adjustments. So the town of Patterson calls upon the state representatives to ensure the validity of state elections through the following actions. And these are basically the audit actions. And this is obvious to me that the only thing you changed is the last, be it further resolved. You changed the language from that to that. You didn't change anything else in this, right?
I did modify one other
Because
word,
this has the strike-throughs.
but it wasn't significant. It was
Yeah,
what we call
so-
a Scrivener error.
So if, you know, if we're supporting the audit, we have to support and move forward the resolution to call on. And if we're going to do the audit, we would need the support of the state representatives to support the audit and to ensure the validity of the state elections through a complete statewide audit, the enactment of legislation defining a mutually agreed upon process, the enactment of legislation allowing for anonymous vote verification. So it's just a resolution supporting the audit.
Right.
Mary, I agree with most of what you said. It's an opportunity for improvement. I think when the group came in with their sample, it was a guiding document. This is what we'd like you to use as a
as a starting point. So I think minor changes, I mean, I think this is a memorialization that this board supports, that we have an accurate and appropriate voting process in New York State, and I respect what you're saying, I do, because it feels like sometimes we get into areas where we wonder if we should be, but in this case, and in many others, people come to us and say, we'd like your support, knowing that we're not the ones setting the rules, but it's a memorialization and a show of support that they can use to say, hey, we've got, 150 different towns at some point that have signed on that they support. It shows momentum, and I think it's supporting that momentum.
More importantly, there's no finger pointing.
Yeah.
You know, we're not saying, hey, you're not doing a great job in your town, and,
Yeah.
you know.
All right, so is everybody okay with the last paragraph? The modification that Charlie has recommended for the last paragraph?
Yeah, it's only a change of a couple of. Yeah.
All right, then I'd like to introduce this resolution calling for an audit of the New York State 2022 general election and ask that it be entered into the record as though read. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in, well, let's do a roll call.
Mr. Cook?
A,
Mr. D'Andriano?
Nay.
Mr. Rogan?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes. Town clerk should have the resolution ready in a few days, and we will send it to our state representatives. And you're more than welcome to get a copy as well if you want to file a FOIL request, so we have a record of who has which. Okay, next on tonight's agenda is an amendment to chapter, oh great, missed that one, 142. Providing for a tax exemption for qualified members of the volunteer fire departments and ambulance corps. I just want to talk about this a little bit. This is something that was enacted by the state. It was championed by our current county executive, Kevin Burns, who has great respect for our EMTs and our firefighters. I did modify a couple of things. I want to bring your attention to 142.18E2. Originally, when I had drafted this, I had put it up to, and what this is, so this is something that I've added into this, which does not come out of the enabling legislation, but it allows an applicant, if they've gone to at least 10% of the number of fire calls or 10% of the number of ambulance calls, that they would still qualify even though they haven't made their LoSAP points. And, this year, in looking at what Putnam Lake has submitted, and then I looked at Patterson and Putnam Lake for last year, I realized that, if you're making 20%, you're pretty much making your LoSAP points. And I wanted to lower the bar just a little bit so people who might be very active in responding to emergencies would still be eligible. And then, excuse me?
Nothing, just reading it, I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
No?
And then I also added another line in here, 142-20, in trying to figure out, who would be eligible for a lifetime exemption. I have the records going back to 1993. I think between Trish and I, we've assembled pretty much all the firefighters and their time, the number of years that they had at least 50 points. So we know the active firefighters going all the way back to 1993. But sure enough, in checking with the assessors, there are people currently getting the exemption who I have no records of. So I modified this so It just happens. Because a lot of this happened before LoSAP came in. So I added in there, active service is determined by the years of service credit for LoSAP or such other qualified authority that has certified the firefighters. I just added that little blurb in there from what we had looked at before. Anybody have any questions? Okay, hearing none, then I would like to introduce local law I-2, providing for public hearing and notice for amendments to chapter 142 to provide for a tax exemption for qualified firefighters, and ask that be entered into the record as read.
Give me a date.
May 10th
Second.
at 7 o'clock. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? In my executive session, I will save to the end of the meeting. Mary, you're up.
Okay. First item on my agenda is a letter from a owner of property located up on Kenton Road in Patterson, requesting to change the restrictions stated below regarding the usage of the property. This is a small piece of vacant land adjacent to the park in the town. It is .34 acres and is somewhat flat parcel with no big obstructions on the property. This is not, there's restrictions in place preventing the owner of the property from parking an RV or camper. This is part of a zoning restriction, I understand, that I did discuss with you that do you want to give me the code or the?
So I believe it was 15427 provides accessory uses to the principal uses, which is 15426. And the issue is this: the individual bought a piece of property that is very challenged and can't build a single-family home on it. It's not worth it. Or there's too many environmental issues with the property in the way of drainage and proximity to septic as well. So he can't build a single-family home, and that's unfortunate. But what he's looking for the town to do is to change the rules so he could have an accessory use of his property without actually having the principal use.
Right, but not, but to be clear, the accessory use would be parking an RV that is not, the intent is not to live there, because you can't, because there's no septic. So, if anyone else wants to chime in, I personally don't feel as though changing a zoning code to provide the ability for a camper not being used, large RV sized camper not being in use, just brings problems to the homes in the area, such as, we see what happened to the castle, what's going on there, and then you have to worry about rodents getting in, living there, and you start having stray animals living in there. It becomes an eyesore because it's not going to be maintained, because obviously the person isn't living there. So I'm not in favor of moving this forward in any fashion to the zoning or asking anyone, but I don't know if anyone else agrees.
I think that what you said is exactly right, Mary, that you have a vacant parcel. It's not the intent nor within the character of the community to have a vacant parcel with vehicles parked on it, whether it's a motorhome or a landscape trailer or anything else. It's a very small piece of property. It's challenged with a water course. Doesn't have separation distances to be able to probably build on it, although that hasn't been proven out, but that is a reasonable assumption made by the owner having an engineer walk the property. And I think when we looked, this was one of those lots that went through probably a foreclosure and was bought a few years ago, not by this person, but by someone else for like $500. It's one of those,
Yeah.
the value in this lot is to the adjoining owners, and that's typically the way they're marketed. So it's interesting that this gentleman bought this lot.
I'd also like to point out that it is near the park, so that, it will be in the eye shot of the children while they're playing. So when the basketball court is right there, so after we play basketball, we go hang out in the RV, so I'm not in favor of changing anything to allow that usage.
I agree.
Do you want
I agree.
a motion on it, or?
Well, I just want to throw another example out. I don't know if you're all aware of this, but a few years ago, somebody bought a piece of property off of one of the side roads off of Fairfield Drive. And then they promptly put a storage container in it and then moved into the storage container.
Oh,
And we just can't get them out.
are they still in there?
Trying to work our way through the court,
Oh.
you know,
Mm.
they're a sovereign nation, you know. Yeah, we can't, provide service. So it's been very, very difficult. And this is what happens when you allow something like this in the community, with all the best of intentions. It very quickly, goes down into a problem
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
We had a gentleman living in a shed too, right? Not too long ago, not too far from here.
Yeah, right over the hill.
Yeah.
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 And this type of lot is typically the lots that we get owners coming to us at some point saying, hey, would you be willing to take, like, they don't want to pay taxes on it anymore. And that's why we saw that it's probably why it went
Yeah.
through foreclosure a couple of years ago.
Well, we do have several storage places that were just recently built on 22, and, you could actually store an RV probably at one of those places,
Yes,
so
yeah.
we've made
Yeah.
that convenient for the,
So, yeah, you probably should make a motion that the town board is not going to propose any zoning changes.
okay. So I'll make a motion that the town does not propose any zoning changes to section 154-27 regarding the Kenton Road parcel, 11 Kenton Road. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item is sale of equipment. Mr. Russ Goff has listed a 2006 mower tractor on Auction International and received a high bid of $16,900. Mr. Goff doesn't feel as though that this price is fair for the value of the vehicle, so they have counter-offered back at $22,500, which is more adequate. They'd like to, that's what they'd like to get. So I'm gonna make a motion, that if they do get the counter offer of $22,500, that we accept this, but I'm actually gonna say $22,400. This way we're not going back and forth. It's possible they'll come back and say $22,400, because I deal with these bids all the time. So I'll make a motion to approve the acceptance of the counter offer for this tractor in the amount of $22,400 or higher. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Recreation requests. Mr. Matt Chabarro would like to announce that they're offering an adaptive wheelchair tennis program this spring. This inclusive program will feature up-down competitive play and be led by the United States Professional Tennis Association certified tennis professional Daria Pascal. She's leading the new tennis camp, and she's been previously approved this summer. This session camp will be run on Saturdays. The time will be 10 to 11:30 and will be held at George Fisher Middle School Tennis Court. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the new tennis program. For the registration fee is $100 for each participant. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Let me just clear my eyes. They're a little blurry. Over the weekend, apparently, there was an issue with the door, the entryway door at the recreation center. I think they just recently changed, did they change that door? I
No,
think they
this is
didn't
the front
change
door.
it? Or oh, okay, sorry, that's the back doors they had
Right.
changed. Okay, so, well, that's good. So they're having an issue with the front door not being, they weren't still able to be opened. The director was notified and he came right out to assess the situation. There is an emergency situation and they'd like to get this repaired immediately. So they're asking for us to approve the cost. I just want to see what the fix is. A latch, a rod, so So all in the amount of $2,650. So I think this is important for the safety of the recreation building, so I'll make a motion to approve the repair in an amount not to exceed $2,700. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that all I have? Yeah.
Other business?
So, one announcement under other business, have a flyer, that's why I grabbed yours, because there's a lot of info on it, Rich. So, the American Lung Association is offering, thank you, is offering, in conjunction with the Putnam County Department of Health, a smoking cessation class. It is a 7-week class, which will begin Wednesday, May 17th, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. It is held at the Putnam County Health Department in Brewster. For more information, you can contact Alexa Contreras at 845-808-1390, extension 43155, to find out more about that great program. American Lung Association Quit Smoking Cessation Program. Thank you.
All right, I want to just update the,
You never smoked, right?
No, like,
yeah, I did, unfortunately. Want to update the board. We received a letter from NYMER recently. Our New York State Municipal Insurance Reciprocal Program, who insures the town with their general liability, did a comprehensive review of all our buildings. And they think we are doing an outstanding job and have made no recommendations at this time in any changes. And so I'd like to just acknowledge that we're doing pretty good and recognize Sue Brown for all her hard work as head of the Safety Committee.
Thank you, Sue.
And as a result of the good review that we've got $2,704 back on our premiums.
Wow.
So we got a little bit of a rebate.
Nice.
And that is it with me. Anyone else?
I just have one thing. I just want to congratulate Councilwoman Smith for becoming the secretary on the Putnam County Traffic Safety Board.
And I have to congratulate Mr. D'Andriano, Councilman D'Andriano, for he's the vice president of the.
Oh, congratulations
Congratulations.
also.
So Patterson is well represented. We also have the legislator is Ginny Nassarino, who represents
Wow.
Patterson, so she's assigned to the Traffic Safety Board representing the legislature. So we have a lot of representation on the Traffic Safety Board. So if anybody has any traffic safety issues they would like us to bring to the board and address, just contact one of us and we can see what we can do.
Actually, they were, the Traffic Safety Board helped out with the one-lane bridges on 164. They helped move that forward, too.
And I've actually received a couple of complaints about that.
I'm sure you did.
People want stop signs out there both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they say what I have heard now is that because of the yield sign, people who know the area, they're not slowing down at all because they know
Right.
the other side is supposed to stop.
Well,
That
that's
was
why
brought
the
up.
state didn't want to put stop signs in, because that would be even worse, because people are expecting to stop, and people who have been doing it for years don't see it. So it is, being on the traffic safety board really opened my eyes. We have all these issues, so an issue like that, you're like, oh, that's a simple fix, put stop signs in. And then, when you have studies and then the state comes back and they have formulas of when to put in different things, and, they have traffic engineers that are trained in all this stuff that I guess know more than us. They come back with stuff and give reasons why. And it's not always, sometimes it's because of money. I mean, they have a lot of projects going on around this, especially on the state level, and they have to prioritize their projects. So, they only have a small amount of money, they have a small amount of people working on it. Everyone's doing more with less. And so that's a lot of times that has something to do with it. Like the Route 22 project.
Well, I was just gonna mention that you and I were with the DOT trying to get that speed limit reduced. I still believe it needs to be reduced in front of Thunder Ridge down to 40 miles an hour.
And solid yellow lines.
And definitely not passing.
Yeah.
But, under their standards, their criteria, they refuse to do that.
And the problem is too, is they look at crash data. I do a lot with crash data, being on the I'm also the vice chairman of the New York State Association of Traffic Safety Boards, so we look at data a lot. And the problem with data, it's only as good as how it's reported. So if we law out of the reports on 22, those crashes and even those fatalities that we were looking at, when you look at the reports, it doesn't state it was from improper passing or speeding, it was distraction or
Drunk driving.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so they look at that and say, oh well, that wasn't the speeding or the passing wasn't the cause, so we can't justify making those improvements. But it's very simple. You take some paint, make the double yellow lines, and put some signs up, and you reduce the speed. But I guess it's a little bit more than that. So.
Okay.
Is
Anything else?
is it true that these appointments are for life?
Well, unfortunately, I became the vice president because the vice president passed
Yeah.
away.
And-
Ron Cummings, so that's a good point too. He served many years as the vice president, did a great job representing Putnam Valley, and the chairman, our sheriff McConville, is doing an awesome job
Yeah, he is.
as chair of.
And-
We've kind of revived the whole traffic safety board.
And I bring more of the school side to the board, you know, with
Yeah,
the
with the
school bus
buses.
safety and, you know, really Sheriff McConville is awesome. He's great. He's very active in getting the school bus safety camera program, you know, moving forward on it. So we're hoping that by next school year, that'll be out. The program will be out. So it's great.
Okay. Public recognition. Does any member of the audience wish to address the board on any issue? You would approach the mic and give your name.
Sure, yeah. My name is Kevin Murray, and I'd just like to ask, you said earlier about that you were going to send a resolution to our state representatives?
Yes.
Okay, so that's, I'm assuming that's our assemblyman and our state senator?
Yes.
Okay, all right, yeah, so, okay. All right, no, I just want to know exactly who it's going to go to.
Yes.
And is there some way for me to get a copy or
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So you can go online. We have on our website an area you can submit a FOIL request.
okay,
That way we track who has what information coming out of the town.
okay, gotcha.
And that goes to the town clerk, and when the resolution's ready, she'll send you a copy.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Thank
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
The smoking cessation flyer?
The mic, because we'll never get it without the mic.
That flyer you had, do you have an extra copy?
Yes.
Or?
Sure we do. I'll give you one as soon as we find it. I have a couple
I
of
have
them
one
here.
right here.
There you go.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? We will turn to anybody joining us by Zoom. If you would unmute and give your name and address for the record, and ask your question or state your comment. Have a good night.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you all for coming.